Hi. I want to talk about porn, and as much as I'd like young people to watch this video, I have to ask that you talk to your parents first and have them look at it just to make sure that it's okay with them. Because although I feel that what I'm going to say is extremely important and should be something that young people are exposed to, they may not feel the same way. So, since my wife since her cancer, which was cervical cancer, which is down below, not in the cervix of, up here, not the cervical bones in the spine. Since her cervical cancer got bad enough that we couldn't have sex anymore, which was 2015, I haven't had sex. And the last time we did anything was in 2016. And there was not much going on in between those 2 points. So effectively, I have been celibate for about 10 years. And after my wife died in 2017, I made a commitment to not get into relationships with women. Not that I haven't had offers, not that I haven't sometimes wanted to, but and I've covered this in other videos, there's a good chance, a really good chance, that I carry within me human papillomavirus that causes cancer. I have no warts. I have no idea where on my body it might be. Could be up here, could be here, could be down there, could be, I don't know where. So rather than risking people's lives by being irresponsible and having sex, I just decided no. And it's hard sometimes. So to help me to deal with my biological urges as an animal, I have to masturbate. And it gets boring. So I look at porn. Now, I have been seeing some changes in the nature of porn. First of all, there are 2 kinds of porn. There's professional porn that is regulated by the government, and there's amateur porn, which apparently is not. And the amount of porn has exploded. Now, some people will argue it's because of the internet. The internet is a medium. It is the people that are making it explode. It is the proliferation by people. It is the desire to see it by people. The internet or paper, those are mediums to deliver porn, and internet is much more effective. There have always been types of porn that are only for certain people, whether that be abusive porn or violent porn or child porn or animal porn. It's all been out there, and it's always, well, maybe not always, but for a long time, it's been there, kind of hiding. What I'm seeing more and more these days, and you can kind of tell where porn is coming from based on the kind of content that you're seeing a lot of. From, well, let me put it to you this way. If you see porn from Japan, you will see a lot of group sex, and you will see a lot of what's called bukkake. And that is where men ejaculate on women's faces. I find that a bit odd, and I don't really get it, except for as a form of domination that is less unpleasant. But there are risks that come with having huge amounts of jism on your face, that are associated with sexually transmitted diseases like syphilis, gonorrhea, chlamydia, and even the viral ones like HIV, HPV, HSV, CMV, and so on. But the problem is whereas there are rules for professional porn producers, the fake amateurs, who are really not fake at all, are not abiding by any of the regulations. They go around indiscriminately having sex and recording the sex and making money off of it. And they're projecting some very unfortunate trends. So, setting aside the bukkake of Japan and the group sex, there's not really a lot that comes from, that I've noticed anyways, Japan, other than kind of an obsession for women to be dressed up as high school girls. And, whether you're 17 or 18, you're still a girl. I'm sorry, but up here, you're not fully developed. Same with guys. You're not fully developed. It gets to about the age of 25, somewhere in that area, before you are fully mentally an adult in terms of what you've got up here. That doesn't mean you're actually mentally fully adult. It just means you have all the faculties, all the parts necessary to grow into that status of a full adult. And some people do, and some people never do, for a variety of reasons. But that's beside the point of this video. So when I see porn from other parts of Asia, it tends to be, on the average, more like what I grew up with. Although there is, again, sometimes there is sex involving 3 people, or even sometimes more than that. But generally speaking, it's not a ton of people involved. And if we start to move westward, we see a lot more anal sex. Oh, I forgot. One of the things that I'm not sure where it's predominant, one thing that's I didn't used to see at all, was sex involving somebody who looked female but had a penis and balls. So I don't know if they're trans or if they have one of the syndromes that cause them to have both male and female anatomical features, which is a feature of people that are intersex. I can't tell. But as we move from Europe to America, I have seen a rise in misogynistic sex, abusive sex. And I have seen women, they're having their hair pulled. Like, sometimes it's like they're the reins of a horse, or they're just grabbing all the hair and holding on and forcing the woman's head to do what they want it to do. to hold it in position through that pain, combined with, if this is possible through normal sex or anal sex or oral sex, but if it's oral sex, they are controlling the woman's position relative to their penis. And I mean, there are some men out there who have, well, okay, let me rephrase this. There are a lot of amateurs who have really, really large penises, in my opinion, based on historical data, abnormally large, probably because of steroids large. And they are forcing a woman's head down to take in the entire length and girth that they have. And you can see that some of these women are really struggling with this. They'll pull away because they're about to vomit or something. You can see that they are, for whatever reason, putting up with this behavior where a man is stuffing his penis where it doesn't and shouldn't be stuffed. Now, I'm not saying that oral sex is something that shouldn't happen. However, when it becomes abusive, that shouldn't happen. And stuffing your foot long into a woman's throat by holding onto her hair and forcing her head down, that is not okay. That's misogyny. You're not treating her with respect, with love, with anything other than she's just another sex toy to you. I also see a lot of butt slapping and a lot of anal sex. I'm like, wow. And it's like, she's got a vagina, and the vagina is going to feel better than an anus for the woman. So, and the other thing that's always been a problem in pornography is they have people pose in sex positions that look interesting, but especially for the woman, are not sexually pleasing. Now, I realized that when I was young, to an extent, but I had to learn to eventually come to understand that the positions that are often portrayed in pornography are not positions which please the woman very much. So, sure, some of them are. Not all of them are non-pleasing, but a lot of them are about the camera. And while the man can still get a great deal of pleasure out of most of them, a woman cannot. So you see a lot of women masturbating while the man's inside of her. And that's an unfortunate side effect of what I'm going to call lazy photography. These are photographers who are unwilling to, figure out a way to show natural sex positions and sex positions where the woman is enjoying herself. And that brings me to what I think of as one of the most disturbing misogynistic types of porn that I've seen a great increase in, and that is choking. Now, I can't say whether the man who's doing the choking is legitimately choking or he's just got his hand on her throat because that's what the cameraman says to do. But whether it's real or just a portrayal of choking, that is dangerous. And if I were a woman as part of this photographic shoot, I could potentially feel scared, especially if the man was legitimately choking me. There is no place in sex, in my opinion, for being choked, because you can pass out, you could even die, especially if the man is careless. Or maybe He wants it to happen. Maybe he likes seeing the woman suffer. Maybe he likes that thrill of control, whatever it is. There's something inherently wrong with choking your partner. I don't care if it's a loving, consensual relationship or two strangers meeting for a one-night stand. That is not okay behavior. And it's being normalized by porn. Now, I want to sidestep for a moment here to warn you that whether you're on a famous multi-porn website like Pornhub, or you're going to just an individual porn site, a large majority of porn sites, either directly or through places like Pornhub, contain malware. I have experimented with this a lot. Now, if you browse through, say, Google or Brave or any other search engine, the majority of those search engines, to a large degree, will protect you from a lot of that malware. But as soon as you jump from that search engine to a porn page, that protection is gone. And having tried to use porn sites and discovered again and again and again that the porn sites are infected, deliberately or not, they are shoving malware onto the computer that you run. It's happened to me many times. Sometimes it was Russian. Sometimes it was from somewhere else. I don't always have the ability to discern. I got into the habit of just blocking anything that was Russian because the Russian sites or the sites that had Russian connections were definitely pushing malware with the porn. Now I don't go onto porn sites because almost all of the porn sites that I've tried are pushing malware. So, and one of the things I've noticed is my computer will slow down, my internet connection will slow down. So it's doing something. And the fortunate part of it was, at least for me anyways, was I was able to restart my computer, and that wiped out whatever had jumped onto my computer as far as I can tell. So going to porn sites, you're better off getting a magazine because, or going and getting a video from a store, because way too many of the porn sites are infected with malware. And you're infecting your computer, which exposes you to cybercrime. Because they may just be using you as part of a botnet in which your computer is being used to perform cybercrime, to perform denial of service attacks, or DDoS, and other things. Or they could be worming their way into your computer to get all your passwords, to get all your financial information, to get every little secret they can, including having full access to your camera and your microphone so that they can potentially blackmail you by saying, hey, I caught you with your neighbor's wife, and if you don't pay up, well, guess what? Everyone's going to find out, including your wife and your children. Now, I'm not saying that all you folks that are watching this video do that, as in, cheat. But I am saying you shouldn't be going to porn websites because of the dangers of malware, because of the risks you're putting yourself into. Anyways, getting back to the topic. So I'm seeing a lot of misogyny coming from the West, a lot of anal coming from the West. And and you may say, oh my gosh, it's homosexual sex. No, yes, there is some homosexual sex. I'm not looking for homosexual sex, so it doesn't pop up very much. But I do sometimes get these intersex people or transsexuals, I don't know again. And I do sometimes, very, very rarely, see gay sex. but mostly it's lesbian sex. But what concerns me is the amount of what I'm going to call soft, violent sex. And the anal sex that I'm seeing is men on women. Or if it's lesbian sex, the women maybe, be having a strap on and doing anal sex that way. But this kind of behavior is demeaning to the woman and is not the way you should be behaving with a person you're having sex with. But more importantly, what I'm seeing almost none of is safe sex. And there are a lot of sexually transmitted diseases out there. And the increase of these diseases that are resistant to antibiotics is increasing. And some of them are viruses, which, if you get them, they're with you forever. They don't go away. Whether it's cold sores, so that would be herpes, or warts, which is human papillomavirus, or you've got other things going on like HIV, where your immune system is compromised, or coronaviruses like COVID and the cold, and then there's the flu. Most of these things, once they get in your body, they stay in your body. Some of them are systemic, some of them are only local. So like human papillomavirus is a local thing. It doesn't get into your bloodstream and spread everywhere. And herpes, same thing. But HIV, human immunodeficiency syndrome, or virus, and cytomegalovirus, and some of the others, they can go systemic. And then some of the bacteria, like syphilis, can physically and permanently screw you up. And the incidences of syphilis are on the rise, as are other STDs. And I believe that a large part of this is because the amateur porn industry, which is, I argue, not amateur. When you have got branding and you see either males who are having sex with many females, or females who are the focus, and you see the same females over and over again, that's not amateur. Those are professionals. And they're not using condoms. On professional sex, you're supposed to use a condom, as I understand it, unless the Republican Congress has repealed regulations for porn, which I kind of doubt. But in amateur porn, I almost never see the use of condoms. And here's the thing. A lot of the STDs that you can get are transmitted, number one, it doesn't matter whether it's your mouth or your vagina or your anus. And number two, the more abrasive the sex is, the more likely you are to get something. So a lot of viruses, they need scratches in your skin to get in. And it doesn't take much. I mean, you can get herpes on your nipple. You can get herpes in your eye, for that matter. Ooh. And if you look up the history of syphilis, you'll see that syphilis can leave lesions on your face. It can leave lesions as this bacteria is destroying you in your mouth, in your stomach, in your other parts of your body, and even can distort your bones. There are digs where they have discovered people with the symptoms of syphilis in their bones from 500 years ago. And there are historical records of armies that have engaged in, I don't know, visiting prostitutes or raping women. I don't know. But they go there, they do their sex thing, and then they come back sick with syphilis or gonorrhea or something, and sometimes multiple things. So the prevalence of unprotected sex with multiple partners is teaching people that it's okay and safe to do that. Now, I don't know what these actors and actresses are doing in terms of trying to protect each other from the transmission of sex. And I guarantee you, some of them are having sex outside of their job, and they may not be careful with those people and bring it back into the set. So if you're watching porn and you're not seeing the use of condoms, please don't take that as a sign that it's safe to not use condoms. Condoms are the number one safest thing to do for oral sex, anal sex, and vaginal sex. They are the best thing to do. And it's not even just about avoiding pregnancy. It's about all these diseases that you can get. And you're like, but it looks like so much fun. I love raw sex. I don't want to use it. Okay, why don't you research the consequences of unprotected sex, which can include damage to your internal organs, lesions on different parts of your body, like would you like to have open sores on your penis or on in your vagina? Warts. I mean, I've seen pictures of penises that are covered with warts because these idiots keep on having sex and transmitting human papillomavirus to other people. Would you like to have your bones be turned into a mess by things like syphilis? Or would you like to have gonorrhea go into your brain and kill you after making you crazy? And so on and so forth. So please, what you see in porn is unnatural positions for the camera. You see unprotected sex that is putting you at high risk of some very, very dangerous and sometimes even permanent diseases that may shorten your life or make your life miserable. And violent misogynistic sex that is not the way you're supposed to be treating a woman. I don't care if she's your one-night stand or she's your 10-year partner. You shouldn't be doing things like shades of gray. That is demeaning, and it is, I can't even express it. It's wrong. So I hope that you will remember, if somebody's in your mouth, that stuff can go in your mouth. If it gets in your eyes, if there's something in the ejaculation from a man and it gets in your eyes, it potentially can be in your eyes, maybe permanently, like herpes simplex or human papillomavirus. If it's going into your mouth, or you've got sores or cuts outside of your mouth, it can get in there. You're putting yourself at a huge amount of risk. And for what? Is it really worth it to risk the horrible things that can happen to you? I mean, I was just watching Chubby Emu, who is a doctor. I don't know why he called his channel Chubby Emu, but he's a doctor, and he was talking about this guy who had an HIV infected partner and was infected, had a serious level of HIV in him. And then he had sex with a different partner, not his normal partner. And that partner was carrying two different kinds, potentially, of syphilis. Or he may have had another partner who had syphilis. And it was just ravaging him. Between the HIV and the two kinds of syphilis, it was messing him up. And because he was a mess mentally, he wasn't going back to the hospital to protect himself. He ended up going blind. He ended up having serious problems. He had holes in his stomach from the syphilis bacteria being in there and tearing it apart, and his bones were being ravaged and all kinds of horrible stuff. It is not good. So please, even if you're not worried about getting pregnant, consider the fact that you may get a one-way ticket to a disease, or you may be with a partner who will abuse you. Choke them? Come on, guys. Don't pull women's hair. Don't choke them. And don't force your penis all the way down your throat when you've got a foot long. Or even less than a foot long. Have an understanding that the gag reflex exists, and you should be wearing a condom even when you're having oral sex. As much as you don't like it, you will like the consequences of STDs even less. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.